Had a briefing today from the FBI, Homeland Security, and a number of law enforcement officers throughout Southern California. But I'm not here to get the briefing because the FBI warned me of what's happening in this country when it comes to crime or Homeland Security. I'm here because of an old friend I served in the state assembly with, who's now your district attorney, Todd Spitzer, texted me one day. So we have these unusual circumstances that are happening when it comes to residential and business crime. That it seems that it's been tied to those who are coming from Chile, an organized situation of a crime syndicate that is ravaging Southern California. When I looked into the background of it, with 40 nations around the world, some of our closest allies, we have a visa waiver program, a VESTA, that individuals can enter and get a visa for 90 days, every 2 years, and come to America. These are countries like France and the UK. The only South American country that has a visa waiver program with us is Chile. In doing so, between the two nations, we normally are able to look at the criminal background before an individual is able to enter our country, especially after 9/11, with the ESTA program coming through, answering 15 questions, paying $21. Chile is a little different than some of the others. They don't allow us to look at the criminal background when they're in Chile. And now what we are finding, with more than 350,000 people from Chile coming here in the last year, out of a country of only 19 million, well, organized crime is raiding our homes. They're sophisticated. They don't come and break in the front door. They put cell phone jamming, knock off your Wi-Fi so your home security doesn't work. They enter on the second story, normally coming after a golf course home, and they raid the house, stealing the safe. They wear uniforms and camouflage outfits. But then they work with China, putting the money back into South America. The difficult part here is we don't need new legislation to stop this. The Secretary of State, the President of the United States, and Homeland Security Secretary has all the power in the world to cut it off instantaneously. To say, no, you will not allow to have the visa waiver program until we could have a background check. Now my question was, does the Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas know about it? Yes, he does. He's provided data to DAs throughout America that has become a major problem. The FBI has task forces just to dealing with this, going back to South America. My concern is they have not taken the action. The Secretary has ignored the protection of Americans. If you have ever been robbed in your house, you lose more than just your property. You lose the sense of safety. You question who drives by your house again. You question when you walk into your house, will you be safe? Your children don't know if they'll be safe. The sleepless night and others. This does not have to be the case. So based upon the information that we have gotten today, with the thanks of Todd Spitzer and the law enforcement, when we mark up appropriations coming in the next weeks, we will put a provision in there because Secretary Mayorkas will not act. And we will not allow him to use money when it comes to Chile for the visa waiver program until this issue is solved so Americans are safe. This is not just an issue in Southern California. This is across the country. You'll hear from, if some of the police chiefs will talk, when they arrest somebody because of the criminal-friendly law of California and the sanctuary cities and state, there's no consequences for these people when they get caught. They're not in jail anymore. They're out. They don't have to post bail. You can't warn the next place that they're going to. There's one story we were told about some individuals they were able to arrest. 2 days later, they get a call from a police chief in Washington saying, those are the people we're trying to catch because they were robbing us too. They're already out. And when they're just provided a date to come back, do you think they show up? No. because of the criminal-friendly laws that this state and this governor has been signing makes us less safe. Fortunately, we have law enforcement in Southern California that works very hard to protect us. We need to be able to provide the consequences to continue for them to be able to do their job. Because the Secretary of Homeland will not act, we in Congress will, to make sure that we are making our streets safer again, just like we said in our commitment to America. And I want to give a special thanks to the District Attorney of Orange County, Todd Spitzer. It wasn't because FBI came to me or Homeland Security. It's because he saw in his job a rise in crime from a specific individuals coming from Chile, that he reached out to an old friend and said, you need to know about this. And as we learned more about it, we watched from young Kim, Michelle Steele, and Ken Calvert to take actions with us to make our streets safer. I want to give you the DA of Orange County, who does his job, which I've known him for years, 24 hours a day, to make us a little safer, Todd Spitzer.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, sir. Thank you. Well, good afternoon. I can't thank you enough for being here. I've known the Speaker McCarthy for a long time, several decades when we served together. And Mr. Speaker, I'm starstruck. I mean, I've known you for a long time, but I'm so impressed that you would come here today to spend some time with us. When I texted the Speaker about 15 minutes later, one of his senior staffers immediately responded to me. And I talked about this document. This is an unclassified document distributed by Homeland Security entitled South American Theft Group Activity, September of 2022. And at the same time, we in Orange County were dealing with unprecedented home burglaries, and we were dealing with a large percentage of those home burglaries involving Chilean nationals who were here on the electronic system for travel authorization, which we commonly call the ESTA program. What I found alarming about this document is at the bottom, there's an admonition that I am allowed as a member of law enforcement to read and look at this document, but I'm not allowed to distribute it to anybody or face a violation of United States law and potential prosecution. And I will tell you, inside this document, there are photographs of over 400 individuals who have been arrested in the United States from Chile in violation of the ESTA visa program. Just in September, the date this was published of 2022, just in the month of September, 211 Chilean nationals were arrested across this country in just that 1 month. We learned today in briefings with the FBI and Homeland Security that the FBI has been concentrating on transnational gangs since 2018, that the FBI itself noticed an uptick in Chileans committing these crimes in 2019, that Ventura County, who's represented here today and participated in the briefing, has been keeping documentation and statistics of this problem. We've learned today that the FBI has a network of 750 members who are monitoring this program across our country, and they've been working together for years to oversee this problem. We learned today that 3,000 individuals have been referred to ICE for deportation just in January of 2022 alone. And we learned today from both Homeland and from the FBI, and I want to thank those individuals for participating and their agencies for allowing them to come brief these distinguished members of Congress and our distinguished member of the Assembly, Assemblyman Fong. We learned today that they have an opinion. And their opinion is, there is, quote, no doubt that this is a pervasive problem in the United States. So I asked myself this question: Why should I, as one of 58 district attorneys in California, have to text my old friend who is in third in line to the presidency of the United States in order to get this major jeopardization of public safety addressed in America, when I believe there's people in Washington who are adamantly responsible every single day to solve this problem? And one of the things Kevin relied on me when he was my leader and I was his whip on the floor of the assembly was that I would read the statutes and I would understand the law, and then I would bring that to the attention of the floor in the legislature, right? And I can tell you what the law is. Secretary Mayorkas and Secretary Blinken have the absolute authority to immediately declare Chile as a high-risk country. They have the absolute ability to temporarily suspend them as a high-risk country from the visa waiver program. And they can, through further investigation, potentially terminate them permanently. Chile is the only South American country that remains in the program. The majority of the South American countries, Argentina and Colombia, have already been prohibited from participating in the program. The secretaries must immediately find that Chile is a high-risk country. The other thing I want to share with you is I received a letter from the ambassador to Chile to the United States 2 days ago. And he told me something, again, that I found extraordinary. First of all, he was apologetic, and I appreciate his sentiment. But he informed us that in 2022, 350,000 Chileans came into the United States under this ESTA visa program in a country with 19.5 million people. That's 10% of the Orange County population with no background checks. So my prosecutors, when they go to court for these burglaries and we arrested from Chile, we don't know their background, we don't know their criminal history, they're let out on zero bail, they're let out with no consequences, just in order to appear at some future date. And guess what? 100% of the Chileans who have been arrested by law enforcement and who we have filed on and are prosecuting, we have 100% no-show at future appearances. Big shocker. Nobody has showed up for their future court appearance. This is jeopardizing public safety. It is a disaster for our communities. It has permeated the country. It is scaring the heck out of our population. You may have remembered that scene, I think it was in Silence of the Lambs, when you have somebody surveying a house to see if he could go in and hurt those people. That's what they're doing with that ghillie suit that you saw at our pre-briefing. They're hiding in the bushes. They're lying in wait. They're watching us. They're surveying us so they can go in and steal from us. And I'm not putting up with it anymore. And my good friend Kevin McCarthy, the Honorable Speaker of the House, and his distinguished members are here today, and I can't thank them enough, because enough is enough, and we need to protect the public. And now I'm going to introduce two citizens who have they want to come and tell you their story because they were recently victimized by Chileans, and they're willing to tell you their story in a public forum, which is brave. And so we're not going to identify them by name, and I would ask that you'd respect that and not try to inquire. We won't tell you anyway. It's a pending case. But please, they want to tell you their story. We want you to hear their story, and I'd ask them to come forward at this time.
Thank you for this opportunity to tell our story. Born and raised in Orange County, I have watched crime rates rise in recent years. Many of us now keep our doors locked at all times. We have automatic lights, we have alarm systems, and even house sitters for when we leave town. A few weeks ago, my husband and I had all of these things set in place when our home was burglarized. At first, I was in shock. I could barely speak. I felt invaded, violated, and unsafe in my own home. It felt like a huge wave had come and crashed over us. I felt a sick pit in my stomach. I couldn't bear to be in our bedroom for the first several nights. In fact, I could hardly sleep. I didn't want to speak to anyone, and I felt extremely anxious. We had lost much financially. We had lost our feeling of security. We had lost sentimental things that we would never see again. My heart was broken. It has caused me to change how I look at people and situations now. If I see a car slow down by our house, I worry they are casing it. I have memories of shattered glass, papers, and empty drawers scattered everywhere. I feel like I'm living a nightmare. What if we had been home? Would we have been in danger? Friends and neighbors have called me, worried that it may happen to them. Since our burglary, we have heard from our friends of 9 other homes that were recently burglarized in the same manner as ours. These local families are having the same anxiety, pains, and loss that we are experiencing. People don't feel safe in their homes anymore. It is time to make changes to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Michelle Steele, and I represent 45th Congressional District. It's 13 cities in Orange County, North Orange County, and 3 cities in Los Angeles County. From the start of this new majority, Republicans have made clear that we will do whatever it takes to protect Americans, including supporting our local law enforcement and holding criminals accountable for their actions. The stories we heard today about Chilean organized crime rings targeting our communities are deeply disturbing. In 2021, the FBI attempted to have Chile removed from the visa waiver program after the Chilean government refused to provide criminal history record of its citizens who were using this program to enter into the United States. To date, DHS has not approved the FBI's application to remove Chile from the program. As a result, criminals have been able to legally enter our country without any resistance, take advantage of visa waiver program, and live in a sanctuary state that prevents local law enforcement from reporting these individuals to ICE. While there has been a rise in Chilean criminals over the years in California, we also heard today about how these sophisticated criminals' operations have become more active in many other states, including New York, Ohio, and Florida. The top of this, these offenders are committing these criminal acts in the United States right before they fly back home to Chile, making it even more difficult for police to arrest these perpetrators. We must improve the visa waiver program and prevent international criminal organization groups like these from entering into our country. For example, there are other qualified countries, such as Uruguay, who could replace Chile. Secretary Mayorkas has failed to protect our communities while Sacramento continues to turn a blind eye on the safety of our constituents as international thieves use the sanctuary state status as a way of shielding from any threat of deportation. It's concerning to hear from so many Californians today who have direct experience with this issue, and the path forward is clear. Moving forward, we must end the cycle of crime that is hurting Californian families and businesses. We are obligated to protect our constituents' safety and allow police officers to do their job. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Ken Calvert. I represent a significant part of Riverside County. And unfortunately, these Chilean gangs have also been involved in burglaries in and throughout the Inland Empire. So not only do we have a porous border and an ineffective Sacramento to deal with crime in general, now we have these Chilean gangs operating throughout the state of California and indeed throughout the United States. With instructions of the Speaker, I will work immediately as a senior member of the Appropriations Committee to suspend this program, the ESTA visa program. We'll work to get that done immediately. So with that, I'll turn that over to Young Kim.
Thank you. First of all, I want to welcome our Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, to Orange County. Thank you so much for being here to shed the light on the Chilean-related gang activities that's happening right here in Orange County, because that's hurting not just my constituents in the California 40th Congressional District, but all of us. So we just heard from the victims of the law enforcement about how the South American theft groups are abusing the visa waiver program and sending criminals to burglarize my constituents right here in Orange County. I just had a meeting this morning with the mayors within my 40th Congressional District, and I heard from them. From Villa Park to Orange to Mission Viejo, especially in Laguna Hills. Laguna Hills alone, the mayor was telling me that in the last 6 months, they have in 86 reported home burglaries and robberies related to these activities. And I'm sure Orange County DA Todd Spitzer is more aware of this, but it is also alarming to me personally to know that more Asian American homes are also being the targets of the home burglaries. South American theft groups, they run a very, very sophisticated operations. So, the members of these gangs receive training in South America. They travel to the United States without, with just a tourist visa, because again, it is a country that is given that special visa waiver program, and all they have to do is go online and then apply for the ESTA program, where according to our MOU between our two countries, the passengers that are traveling, when they apply, they have to answer those questions and talk about whether or not they have the criminal history. Obviously, they lie. We don't know that. And the way that we vet those passengers coming from Chile into the United States, we have no way of knowing it. The system is broken. But they come here with those tourist passports, they surveil homes for weeks, and they carry out those burglaries that score hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of goods. And they sell that online or overseas and launder those funds through the Chinese crime syndicates. As DA Spitzer can attest to this more, like I said, they target the Asian American households. The Chilean government is required to properly vet passengers coming to the United States, but what we heard today is that is not the case, and that is not happening. That is really concerning, given the number of individuals with criminal histories traveling to the United States with those tourist visas and passports, that is. So this is a threat to our national security, and it's a public safety right here in Orange County. And for years, there hasn't been enough action from our government to hold the Chilean government accountable for failing to properly vet people. That's why I led the outreach approach, and I sent a letter to the Department of Homeland Security and State Department on this issue with bipartisan colleagues, with my colleagues from Orange County as well, including Congressman Lou Correa. This is a bipartisan issue, and I'm committed to working with our local law enforcement officials who are standing here with us, and my colleagues standing right here with us, to put an end to this and keep our communities safe. And I am definitely going to be one of those strong voices to make sure that this program ends in Chile. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Assemblymember Vince Fong. I want to thank the speaker for inviting me to hear what's going on not only here in Orange County and Ventura, but also throughout California and the United States, and how Sacramento and the state legislature can do a better job in partnering with our local and our federal counterparts. Speaker McCarthy and my colleagues standing behind me and our law enforcement are completely right. California is going in the wrong direction with its ill-conceived soft on crime policies. And now we see data and reports that international organized crime syndicates are exploiting our lax crime laws in California. District Attorney Spitzer has a unique perspective on this, and I appreciate his leadership, having served in the state legislature and now is prosecuting criminals. Californians, and us included, have watched California change before our eyes. And it has not gotten better, especially when they see rising crime across our communities. And we cannot sit back and do nothing. Time and time again, we see residents being victimized by criminals. Yet the out-of-touch policies coming out of Sacramento, being signed by Governor Newsom, are protecting criminals over victims. There are a number of policies that California could enact right now to help fix this destructive problem. We have action that is going to be taken on a national level, but we need to give our law enforcement and our district attorneys more tools. That requires Governor Newsom to reverse course and look at the real-world consequences of his policies. Governor Newsom can fix the broken bail system. He can increase accountability and penalties for criminal activities. And he could repeal Prop 47 to start and help us do that. He can foster more coordination between local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies, not tie the hands of our local law enforcement. That was the message heard loud and clear. The lack of coordination right now that we see because our agencies are being hamstrung from communicating with each other. The rising crimes terrorizing our communities are a disgrace. But we are now seeing the growing extent of criminal activity that's happening that span our state and across the nation. Governor Newsom should focus on keeping Californians safe by working with all sides on all levels and with other states. Unfortunately, we aren't seeing that right now. We need to give our law enforcement and our district attorneys more tools to keep our communities safe, and I'm committed to do that. So with that, let me hand it back to Speaker McCarthy for questions and answers. Thank you.
I want to thank all the members for joining us. I want to thank all the police chiefs for the work they do and the law enforcement to protect us. They told us a story that they're spending a lot of resources, a lot of overtime at night to try to secure their communities. Secretary Mayorkas could solve all that for us. He has the power right now. He has the knowledge of what's happening across this country to stop the visa waiver program for Chile until they allow us to look at the backgrounds, the criminal backgrounds of who's entering our country. If he will not act, we will take that action in the next 2 weeks inside our appropriations. We want our communities to be safe. We want our communities to feel as though they're safe in their own homes. Right now, we are not, and we will change all that. With that, let's take a few questions. Yes, sir.
Can you ask your question into the microphone so we can capture on the question?
Hi, Mr. Speaker. I'm Ellis Michelson.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you. I spoke last night with Congressman Mike Levin, Democrat, about this very issue, and he agrees with a lot of what you're saying. Luis Correa signed a letter about this as well. Have you spoken to the Secretary of Homeland Security about this specifically? If so, what did he say to you? And if not, what's your answer?
I haven't been able to speak to the Secretary directly, but I will. I would hope he would take action today. As you know, it's a bipartisan issue. They don't pick the homes based upon where somebody's registered. It goes throughout our entire country. The challenge here that I'll ask the Secretary, why hasn't he briefed Congress about it? Why hasn't he told us? Why has he omitted this portion from the report he has to provide to us every 2 years to the Judiciary Committee? He will come before the committee next month. I hope he's prepared to answer this question, because on a bipartisan level, we want America protected. If he won't take action, we will. Yes, sir. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, whoever has the mic.
I stole it. We obtained a letter today from the Chilean ambassador to another congressional member saying that they have been in negotiations with Homeland Security for a few months about a new agreement where they will provide some of these criminal records of ESTA applicants to the United States. They say they're close to an agreement. First, have you been briefed on any of these negotiations? And second, if they get an agreement in the near future, the next week or two, what's your reaction? Would you still go forward with these steps?
My first reaction would be, let's stop the visa waiver program until the agreement is solved. Why would we continue to allow, if 350,000 Chileans are coming to America every single year, we have a rise in crime, why wouldn't we just stop that program until the agreement is reached? I imagine the agreement would be reached faster if the program would stop. I'd rather protect Americans instead of the feelings of the Chileans, whether they're getting this done right or not. So I would direct the Secretary of Homeland to stop the program today until we get it fixed. If it's not fixed by next week, we will put it into our bill.
Last question.
Who has the mic? Yes.
Thank you. Is there any chance the Congress or the House will consider reviewing the entire visa waiver program? Because people from other countries also being asked many questions, the same exact questions. So I was just wondering that. And then, if I may, I'd say, since today we have two representatives here, today, how important is it that you work with representatives from who have other cultural backgrounds? And if I may, just as one more question, since you mentioned China earlier, sorry about this. As you may know, China's ambassador to South Korea warned that those who bet that China will lose out to the U.S. will certainly regret it. What you reaction?
Well, he gave me three questions there. First, I'd say to the ambassador, he is wrong. I wouldn't have bet against the United States. I wouldn't have bet against freedom. I wouldn't have bet against democracy. And I would stop dealing with Putin and supporting their rise inside Ukraine as well. I don't think anybody in the world wants to stand with them when it comes to that. But first and foremost, what I would say, it's a great honor to serve with Michelle Steele and Young Kim. They do an amazing job for all Americans. One thing I'm great pride of is the expansion within our party across this nation of who's serving with us. I think it's very important when we live in America that everybody becomes an American and everybody has a voice, everybody has an opportunity to have that voices heard, and we want more voices at the table. The first thing you want too as America, you want a community that is safe. It's one thing to think that a street is not safe, but of all Americans, your home should be the very safest place in your life. When you become a victim of your home, where do you go for security? Where do you sleep at night? Where do you have your children? It takes away every sense of security that you have with a home invasion. We have the data and the records to show what the rise in crime that's coming from Chile can be stopped. If the Secretary of Homeland will not do his job, we will. It's as simple as that. And it shouldn't take a district attorney sitting in Orange, California, Orange County, when the rest of the nation is being victimized, to have to stop this. The Secretary knows it, he provides it in data, and he should have done something about it. And he shouldn't wait around till the negotiations are done. The best way to have the negotiations solved in the manner to protect all Americans is to do it now. And we should look at the entire program. With that, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.